Hey guys, welcome back to the Second Time Lucky mining channel. In today's video, I'm going to give you guys an update on my mining operation for the month of January. Can you believe it? 1 month into the new year already, and it's been a wild one in the crypto space. From markets tanking, announcements, all of those type of things. In today's video, I'm going to have a look at my expenses. So any hardware that I bought, what's my electricity at, where I am from an ROI perspective. So spoiler alert, I'm still very far away from ROIing. I'm also going to talk about what coins am I holding and why am I holding it, and how much is that down for the month of January. I'll talk in detail around what I've mined and with what I've mined it throughout the month of January. So we're going to have a look at that. And then my mining strategy, more importantly, around what I'm mining for Feb. And then we're going to have a look at sales. So any hardware that I've sold or any coins that I've sold, why have I sold it? We're also going to talk about some of the mistakes I've made. And that's the more important thing is, everybody's going to make mistakes. It's about how you correct them. So let's jump into the video. Let me show you guys where's the mining operation running these days. So as you can see, here is my garage. So let me just put on the light. Oh, it's bright. Here's my little home gym. There's some artwork from the kids. And then there's my golf set. And then I've got the miner right here next to my mountain bike. So you can see here, it's right in the corner in the garage, close to the power source. So all of my GPUs is currently in this absolutely amazing Octominer X8 Ultra Plus case. And then I've got it feeded all the way. Unfortunately, it's difficult for me to get network here, so I've got like a receiver and then network cable plugged into the Octominer case. So I'm struggling with the Wi-Fi to get it consistently to work, so that's sort of why I have this at the moment. And then right at the top is the outlet where I'm measuring the power. So let me just show you guys. Alright, so that's sort of where my mining operation is running from. So you can see it's very small, so it's just the one Octominer case with 7 GPUs in, on top of my boxes that contains either spares or empty boxes for GPUs. And I've specifically made it this high to stop kids from interfering with it. Anyway, let's jump into the spreadsheet. Before I jump into the crypto accounting spreadsheet, I'll show you guys in Hive OS what my mining operation looks like. So as you would have seen in the garage, I only have the one mining rig that's got 7 GPUs in. So that mining rig consumes about a little bit less than 1.1 kilowatt, and it does about a little bit below 390 megahashes, so 387. So if I just jump into the actual mining rig, so of the 7 GPUs, I've got a split between AMD and NVIDIA. So as you can see here, I've got 5 AMD cards and then 2 NVIDIA cards. On the AMD side, I have 2 6700 XTs, and then I also have 2 6800 XTs, and then 1 non-6800 XT. So quite heavy on the AMD side, and that's some of the stuff that I wanted to change in February and going forward. On NVIDIA side, I've got my previous problem child, the RTX A4000, and a 3060 Ti LHR. Now, let's jump into the spreadsheet. Okay, so let's look at the crypto accounting spreadsheet. So I've got it open here. So as I mentioned previously, and I'll leave a link to that video description to talk about what are all these tabs for if you haven't watched that video. But quickly, I've got my crypto journal sheet, and in this sheet, I record what am I exactly doing, and then what is the reasoning behind it, so that I can keep track of, what did I buy and why did I buy it. For that specific purpose, or if something that I've sold, why did I sell it? So that's the idea behind the crypto journal. But anyway, let's jump into the expenses, because that, I guess, is the most important part. So as you can see here, for January, total expenses was about $3,000 US. So in the month, I bought a Elmore lab, so you probably would have seen a video with me using that. So this is to measure the power accurately. I bought some network stuff, and that's what you saw in the garage. So to make sure that I can power it away from my gaming machine at the top of the house. So that was mainly the reason there. I bought the SenseCap M1 Helium miner from a scalper. So if you haven't seen that video, I'll leave a link in the video description to that. And then I bought some cables for an antenna for the SenseCap M1, And then here I bought 2 GPUs. So within the month of January, I only bought 2 GPUs, and that's the two 6700 XTs. I might buy another 6800 XT tonight, but I'm not 100% sure if that deal will still go through. And then here's some more antennas that I bought in the month of January. So overall, I spent about 3,000 US dollars in January, buying mainly 2 GPUs and then 1 Helium miner, and then the cabling associated to that. From a power consumption or from electricity perspective, so if you guys haven't seen the other video that I did, but I've changed providers in the middle of the month. So about the 11th of January, I moved from my 17 US cents per kilowatt to 12 cents a kilowatt. So that's why the blended rate for the month of January is a little bit higher, but going forward it should be a little bit less. But overall, so it was a little bit difficult to calculate because most of the month I only had 4 or 5 and at the end 6 GPUs in my mining rig for most of the month. However, as you would have seen now in the Hive OS, it's pulling about 1.1 kilowatt. So, you know, I tried my best to average it out because I need to take into consideration now it's got 7 GPUs and when those GPUs came. And then I also on and off use my gaming PC to mine as well. So I needed to put that electricity in here. So that's why I sort of went with 1000 watts for the whole of the month at the blended rate. So that's the idea there. So all in at the moment, I've got about 13,000 US dollars of total expenses or hardware that I bought. And then electricity, as I mentioned, for the month of January, it was about $100 at 1000 watts at the blended rate. But taking into account December, it's in total $137 US dollars. So that is my total expenses at this specific point in time. I don't have expenses like Hive OS because I still only have the one mining rig, but that hopefully will change in the future. Okay, so let's have a look at what did I mine for the month of January, because that's quite important. So let me go to my mining tracker sheet here. Just click on that. So as you can see here, I mainly mine a couple of things, and I'll explain sort of how that works just now. So I'm mining really Ethereum and getting paid out in Bitcoin. So as you guys would have seen, and if you haven't, I'll leave a link in the video description to that video, but I basically mine using 2 miners pool, Ethereum, and then getting paid out in Bitcoin. So that one mining rig that you saw downstairs, that is the majority of what I mine, and that mines Ethereum pretty much non-stop. I switch it off every now and again for some testing of videos or test some other algorithms, but majority of the month it's mine Ethereum on 2 miners and then getting paid out in Bitcoin. So that's the majority of what I do. I also have Helium. So as you guys would have seen, I got the Helium miner from a scalper, so I started mining Helium. So up till now I've got 0.7 Helium, so it's about you know, almost $20 with Helium. And then the other coin that I mine is Flux. So I've been trying to diversify away from Ethereum and start testing out mining Flux. So on my gaming machine, so this is what I do on my gaming machine, I only use the 16800 XT mining Flux. So yes, I probably did test some of my other GPUs on Flux every now and again throughout the month, but the majority of the 20 Flux that I mined was with my gaming GPU throughout the month. So that's about $34. And then also on my gaming machine, I also use my 5900X, my AMD CPU, to mine Monero Ocean. So it's mined almost, it's only got one payout through the whole month, so 0.09. So that's probably after the fees that it transferred. So all in all, I mined about 0.0095 Bitcoin, so that was $360 for the month. I mined 0.7 Helium, so that was $20. And then I mined 20 Flux or 20.9 Flux, and that's about 34. So then $34. This is all US dollars, by the way. So there is still some parallel assets that hasn't paid out, but this is just where it stands at the moment. And then my CPU mining is about $15. So as you can see here, percentage wise, the majority of it is in Bitcoin. So $360 worth of Bitcoin that I've mined, $20 around Helium, $34 on Flux. So you can see my one GPU is mining more than what my Helium miner is doing. But anyway, so that being what it is. And then my CPU is about $15. So all in all, I mined for the month, taking the coin prices today. So today is Sunday. It is the 30th of January, so the markets are quite down. So what the value of that is today is $429 for the month. So I've mined $429 for the month. All right, so now that we know what my expenses are and what have I mined throughout the month, so let's have a look at my ROI. And for that, I'm going to go to my value tracking spreadsheets. Let me just go in there. So in this spreadsheet, what I do is I keep track of my total expenses. So that would be any hardware purchases plus my electricity up until this point. So it's a cumulative. And then all of my mining sales. So from a mining sales perspective, everything that I've mined, what is the value of that on this specific point in time? So something that you probably have noticed at the end of last month, it looked like I mined 287 US dollars, but in actual fact, the value of that coins that I've mined at this specific point in time, if I just go back to my mining tracker, is actually now $230. So, you know, these are the things that will impact you. So all in all, the total, everything that I've mined up until this point, the value of that is worth $661. But, you know, as I said, stuff that I've mined last month is now worth less. So it's about $50 less. And these type of things will impact your ROI. And that's just something that you need to take into account. And that's why I specifically specify the Bitcoin US dollar price at that specific point in time. So as you can see, when I started mining, or maybe a week after that, it was $49,000. And then it went down slightly, and then where we are at this specific point in time is $37,000. So you can see here, you know, your ROI will be impacted as the price of coins go down, and that's just something that you need to deal with. You know, I'm not, or this is not financial advice in any means, but I do expect it to go down even further. So I do expect profitability to go down, and that will come into effect around when I talk about what am I doing about it and what am I holding, and you know, so how am I going to deal with it financially and then psychologically with those dips. So something else here for the ROI calculations, as I mentioned, first is expenses, then total coins that I've mined and the value at this specific point in time of that total cumulatively. I also sold a GPU. So here you can see I sold my 2070 throughout the month, so I got about $500 for that's US dollars for that specific GPU. So ROI really is a combination of my expenses, so minus what I have mined with any hardware that I've sold, what is the percentage of that. So as you can see here, it's only 8.9%, so I'm a far away still from 100%, but I'm moving in the right direction, and that for me is important. Okay, so let's have a look at what coins am I holding from a transparency perspective. So, and it will also talk about how am I dealing with the risk currently in the market. So if I go to my asset sheet, you can see here is a list of all of the coins that I have and then a percentage. I've taken the value out, but at least you can see here from a percentage perspective. So at the top, I've got Bitcoin and then Bitcoin at the various different places. So Bitcoin at cold storage. So this is now away from the internet or any hackers. I've got a wallet that is in a safety deposit box, so I'm keeping it away from the internet. I've got some Bitcoin in BlockFi, and again, if you haven't watched my mining video, so most of my 2 miners gets paid out into BlockFi, and the idea there is to get some interest. And then I used to have Bitcoin in NiceHash, as you can see, there's nothing there now, and then some Bitcoin in Binance. So overall, the majority of the crypto assets that I hold, the majority of that is in Bitcoin. So if I just sum it here, it's about 86% is actually in Bitcoin. And this is sort of how I'm dealing with risk. You know, I've got a goal of getting one day 1 Bitcoin. So I'm still working towards that goal. I'm definitely not there yet, but that's what I'm sort of working towards. And maybe as soon as I do have 1 Bitcoin, I might look into some of these altcoins a little bit further. But for now, I'm still chasing the 1 Bitcoin dream for me. So that's really Bitcoin. And again, you know, in this volatile market, and again, this is not financial advice, but I do expect altcoins to drop harder than Bitcoin if we do get a nice little crash at the end of the day. So I'm hoping that the downside will be less, or will pain a little bit less in Bitcoin as opposed to any of these other altcoins. Looking at my other holdings, so you can see here I've got some Ethereum. So I've got Ethereum in cold storage, which is not a lot. and then whatever I have in the pool. So that's just 2 miners that hasn't paid out. I do have some Binance coin, and again, that's just for trading. And then I've got a couple of coins that is left over from the 2017 hype that I got caught into, and those would be Cardano, Tron, and then Ripple. So I bought into some of the hype back in the day, and that's one of the mistakes or learnings that I'm taking into it, is not getting caught up in any altcoins hype that it's going to go to the moon. But anyway, I still have it. It's just there at the end of the day. I do have some USDC, so this was not a strategic decision. This is just I needed USDC to buy the Bobcat miner, so this is just I converted too much, so that's sort of why I've got this 2% in that. Zcash, so again, this is a leftover of 2017. So in 2017, I only had NVIDIA graphics card, so I mined the crap out of Zcash. So this is just leftovers from that. And then you would see here the other coin, or the biggest alternative to Bitcoin, is actually Flux. And I'll talk about sales just now, but I'm trying to, number one, mine Flux and then get more Flux at the end of the day. So the idea here, or what my hoping is, Flux is changing their node structures. I think it's the end of March or maybe April, I can't remember now, but you need at least 1,000 Flux. So I'm working towards that, so to stand up a Flux node. So that's sort of some of the moves, or I'd say moves, some of the things that I've done, but I'll talk about that in sales. And then obviously I've got the Helium that I've mined, so I obviously didn't buy any Helium. This is just purely what I've mined, the same for Monero. And this is an overview of everything that I have. So as you can see here, it's heavily Bitcoin focused. So I don't expect the upside to be as good as somebody that's got a lot more altcoins, but for me, that's just how I'm mitigating my risk. And again, this is not financial advice, this is just what I am doing. So last sheet looks at anything that I've sold or bought that is not like hardware. So if I go to the sales sheet, so what you would find here is obviously hardware. As I mentioned, I sold on the 24th that RTX 2070 on Facebook Marketplace. So I sold it for $500 to another guy. And what I do here is the sort of reasoning behind it. I don't really have a profit or loss specifically put in here because if you guys watch my first video, I bought it as a bulk deal, so I'm not really sure what the graphics card component of that is. And again, any other graphics card that I then sell now, where I've only bought the GPU, I'll definitely put that in. If I look on the right side, this is now any coin trading. So again, this is full transparency of what I'm doing at the end of the day. So I had some, I don't know where these coins are coming from, to be honest. ICX and Voyager, I think it's Icon and Voyager coin in my Binance account. So I don't know where that came from. It must have been an airdrop of some sort. But anyway, I converted that into some Bitcoin, and that's the Bitcoin that you saw on Binance. So also on the 6th of January, and this is when the Flux announcement was, I bought some Bitcoin using my fiat. So here you can see I bought 0.1 Bitcoin at the price of Bitcoin was $46,000. So again, that trade looks very bad at the moment with Bitcoin a lot lower. So let me just go to what to mine. What's what to mine say now? It's 38,000. So as you can see, that doesn't look like a good trade. But the idea or the reasoning behind that trade is, and again, I'm not a trader by any means. I don't check candles or triggers or anything like that. Is I listened to the Flux announcement and I wanted to get more involved in Flux. So I used my fiat to buy Bitcoin, and then I converted the Bitcoin into Flux. So as you can see here, I converted Bitcoin into Flux at various different rates. So $2.70, there was $2.35 and $2.80. And again, at Flux's price now, I think it's about $1.60. So let me just open up Flux. So as you can see here, Flux is now $1.63. So from a trade perspective, as you guys can see, I'm a very bad trader, and this is not advice.
This is me looking to get Flux so that I can stand up a node. So I should be there. So I have about 1,300 Flux. So I should be able to stand up a node whenever that happens. So the reason why I bought Bitcoin and then traded into Flux was not because the price I thought it was low. It's just because I wanted to have Flux to be ready for when that happens. So again, you know, these look on paper like bad trades, but you know, the reasoning behind it is I want to stand up a Flux node at the end of the day. So that's sort of the state of play with expenses, hardware that I've bought, where my ROI is at, what is my holdings, and what are some of the trades, and as you can see here, bad trades that I've made up until this specific point in time. But what am I doing, or what is the plans for February and the months ahead? So as I mentioned, you know, this is again not advice, but I do expect the markets to come down, and you know, how am I going to deal with that is, you know, as I mentioned in my holdings video, is holding more Bitcoin. So I do expect the drops to be less in Bitcoin compared to altcoins. So that's just on the market perspective. I do think it's going to go down, and then I do expect that profitability is going to go down. But again, as long as the electricity is less than what we're mining, I'm sort of still happy. And then, you know, if it's the other way around, I'll have a look at that. But that's not where we are at the moment. From a hardware purchasing point of view, I still have space for one slot or one GPU slot in the Octaminer. So I do have space for one GPU there. And then obviously I have my previous mining rig, so the open air frame that's got 6 slots available. So from a slot perspective, I do have space. Electricity as well, I do have space there. So I do have space for more GPUs. On the GPU front though, what am I looking out for? Again, you know, everything that I've bought this month has been secondhand on Facebook Marketplace. So I do expect that trend to continue. I'm not buying any new GPUs. I'm trying to snag up good deals on the second-hand market. And for that, you know, on the AMD side, I'm still looking to add a 6600 or a 6600 XT. So that's the one GPU that I'm looking to get on the AMD side. On NVIDIA, so there I'm still looking for a 3070. So I really want to get a 3070, and non-LHR would be nice. But yeah, so I'm looking out for a 3070 or potentially a 3070 Ti. So from what I understand, they are very good on Flux. So you know, that is from a future proofing perspective. So I might bite the bullet and deal with the LHR, but then, you know, when Ethereum moves away from proof of work, at least I've got a killer Flux card at the end of the day. So that's the thinking there for the 3070 or 3070 Ti. Intel, so I'm really excited to test out this new Intel GPU. So I can't remember if that's happening at the end of this quarter, but that will probably be the only new GPU that I buy on from a retailer, for argument's sake. So you know, those are the GPUs that I'm looking to buy. So I'm obviously not looking to buy like 10 of them. I expect my expenses to increase slightly lower from this point onwards. So you know, that's the idea. I'm not looking to buy like 6 GPUs, but maybe 1 or 2 a month, or maybe one a month, or one every second month, or something like that. So I just need to, you know, weigh up my my personal finances, and that's the important thing that, you know, I'm taking into consideration. So the power cost, I haven't sold any coin at all ever into fiat. So I haven't converted any of the coins. So whatever I'm holding, I either bought or I mined, but I haven't converted any of my coins into actual money into my bank account. So you know, at the end of the day, I'm paying the electricity out of my pocket, and that's also the other reason why, you know, I can't have my electricity, or I can't have 1,000 or 500 GPUs, because I can't pay for that electricity out of my pocket. So you know, that's why I'm not going to be a massive mining operation. It will just be what I can handle, and that's the approach that I follow. Is, you know, any money that I put in here, or any hardware that I buy, you know, this is obviously money that I expect to lose 100%. Or, you know, it would be great if I obviously don't lose it, but, you know, if I lose it, it's not going to impact my life substantially. And that's, you know, how you should treat these investments in the end of the day. Is, you know, only put in money that you can afford to lose.
If you've liked the video, please like it and maybe consider subscribing. If you didn't, please specify in the comments what you would like me to change. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.